Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5, which is part 2 of the last video that we did. So in the continuation of how to actually start a practically hunt, this video is a continued video. Parted on the last video when we realized there are two ways how you can possibly hunt, right? One is structured and one is unstructured. So what I really wanted to do is basically spend some time on the structured hunting approach, because the methodology or the examples that I used in the last video were not so complete, right? There's more depth to how you can actually start or do a structured hunt. So we'll spend some time today, try to understand how this could be achieved and what it actually means. Example is just an example that was used in the last video, right? There's more planning that goes into actually doing a structured hunt, so we'll see all of that. So we'll quickly get started. Okay, so before we jump into structured hunt, we know that threat hunting methodology could be, or threat hunting hypothesis or direction could be in two ways, right? One could be a structured hypothesis, high structured hunt, and another could be a unstructured hunt. I'll not go in depth to explain what each one of these means, but I'll just give you the definition so that people who are new or directly viewing this video have some understanding. A structured hunt is a hunt where we actually know what we are looking for, right? This is what we discussed, right? If there's a discrepancy, please do let me know, but I believe this is what we discussed last time when we met. And an unstructured hunt is basically we don't realize what we want to hunt, not what we want to hunt, but what we are looking for, and start searching for anything that is bad in a defined scope, in a defined data domain or scope, right? There will always be a defined data scope or domain, right? Or a combination of domains, but it will always be defined, right? You can't be starting from, say, email logs and now moving towards, say, randomly moving towards, say, your HTTP or Cloudflare logs and then moving back to, say, application logs. I can understand if it's a chained number of events happening, but you would have found something in the first place on the first data domain itself that actually led to investigation of all these other data sources, right? Or correlation itself. So the unstructured successful hunt would have been actually successful in the first data domain itself, so the scope was defined. So in this fashion you have both of them. Unstructured hunting actually calls for I could take an example, right? Think of yourselves as actual hunters, right? Hunters in jungle, right? You are given a task to basically hunt. Your profession is of a hunter. So what you possibly do is you go to jungle and you start hunting, right? Now there could be various ways how you do this. One way of think of it is kill anything that is bad or you don't understand, you don't understand or know of, right? So basically you are killing what you don't know, and this is some sort of, in a fashion, unstructured hunting. You don't know what you have killed or what you are actually going to hunt, but you are killing anything that is bad or you don't understand or know. Another way could be you have a plan and a target. an understanding of threat of animal that you are hunting for. So basically you are doing a structured hunt. Now what this means is I am going to hunt for a rabbit, which let's do like this. Rabbit is found near rivers. River data, river location is present on my GPS. Weather is favorable. Timing is suitable in the sense rabbits mostly eat around, let's say, 2 p.m. so they should be out of their burrows. Right now these all are planned information, right? And the depth of information depends from hunts to hunt, but you have certain amount of information that is actually guiding you, right? So you're not going haphazard. So but here in an unstructured hunt, what you have really done here now is you don't know what you are killing, right? It could be a tiger, a rabbit, a bird, not a bird, but let's say for the sake of example and sticking to the philosophies, let's say a rabbit, bird, or say a panther, whatever it is, right? But the domain is defined, right? So the domain is mammals, right? You are killing suspicious objects. So what you really have is you don't know what actually will be the end goal, but you have taken a decision to actually run in that direction. So it is mostly good when you are in an uncharted territory. For example, when to actually do a unstructured hunt, right? When to do unstructured hunt, or basically when to do which one, when to apply what. So you would apply a unstructured hunt when you actually are in an uncharted territory. So uncharted. I think spelling should be fixed. Yes, uncharted territory. That means new environment. Why? It would help you baseline. Help you understand, define scopes, domains, data availability. You would be sifting through a large amount of data. Since you have not defined what you are looking for, you will be sifting through a large amount of data in a small period of time. So it would help you build domain expertise, or data familiarity, right? So all of this is one good favorable condition where you should actually do a unstructured hunt first, and then possibly use outcome of this to drive your structured hunt, right? What else? Another could be, there is an attack happening, possibly tip, intel, third party notification, competitor news, etc, whatever it is, right? But you don't know the mechanics of it, right? You don't have the internals or tactical knowledge of the attack. So what you basically do is you go back into an unstructured mode, right? For example, I'll start sifting through all the DNS data if I know there is a DNS attack happening. So I'll start sifting through all the DNS data to identify anything that is bad, right? So all of these conditions, when there are unknowns involved, right? So in an intelligence, if I had to just quote from an intelligence domain, if you are in unknown territory or unknown territory, do an unstructured hunt. But if you are doing a structured hunt, keep in mind that you should identify what your target is. In our terms, a target could be as simple as a tactic, a technique, or a procedure. Or you could also build what softwares are you hunting for, right? But there's not only this much, there's more to it, right? In all the other scenarios, just to conclude for this topic, when to apply what, for all the other scenarios where you have information, try to do a structured hunt. Your searches, why the advantages are varied, right? So for example, you have faster results, right? Results, you have quick wins, right? For example, it will be easy for you to say this was not happening, so the hypothesis is failing. That also means quick wins also means hypothesis conclusion is at speed, right? Ability to refine what you are hunting. So basically you are able to tune your hypothesis, right? Hypothesis tuning is enabled, right? All of these are advantages. So do unstructured hunt wherever possible. Now moving away from this to actually understanding the levels of structured hunting, right? A structured hunt is basically can be done at multiple levels because your intelligence is what you need for structured hunt, right? For example, a structured hunt is basically a byproduct of threat intelligence, right? So if you have good threat intelligence, you are doing a structured hunt. If you don't have a threat intel system in place, you are not doing a structured hunt. By the way, I'll just reiterate, I've reiterated it many times, I'll reiterate it again. IOC searching is not threat hunting. Just keep that in mind. And anybody who tries to convince you that IOC searching is the threat hunting, I think it's better to move away and not have the conversation entirely. The philosophy is set in stone. IOC searching is not threat hunting. But coming back, however, I can reframe it. IOA searching is threat hunting. Now I'll not explain what is IOA. I would actually leave this for you guys to go back and know what is an IOA. I'll just possibly expand it. It's indicator of attack. Now go back and search on Google what is indicator of attack and how can you possibly search for it. It is not definitive. The statement is not definitive, right? IOA searching is not entirely threatening, is some portion of threatening. So some portion of threat hunting. But if you are dealing with IOS, you are possibly hunting. So coming back, structured hunting is a byproduct of threat intelligence. So what you basically do is you apply intelligence into your searching paradigms and possibly figure out parameters for which you need to hunt. Now, what does this mean? This means that structured hunt is also guided by the type of intelligence that you feed, right? if I had to quantify intelligence, intelligence types, we have we have tactical. The base types are tactical, strategic, and operational, right? So I'll just move this down because that is how it's easy to understand the pyramid or the chain. Tactical is at lowest level. You are dealing with IOCs, IOAs, not IOAs. You are dealing mostly with IOCs, right? Operational is your TTPs, right? And strategic is your, again, situational awareness, news, contexts, decisions, whatever it is, right? So all of these are intelligence types. Now threat hunting actually starts from operational and strategic and not tactical, right? Again, referencing this, IOC is not threat hunting. So if you have IOCs, feel free to stream them to sim, right? Indicator matching rules, and use alerts from this for triaging. Simple, right? That is what you do with tactical intelligence. If you find something, good. If you don't find something, IOCs are quick wins. If you find something, you're quickly winning. If you don't find something, yeah, good luck. So what you basically now do is, coming back, structured hunt actually happens at operational and strategic level. The intelligence is guided at that level. So what you're basically hunting for needs to have depth, right? You couldn't be just saying, I'll just recall it from the last video that we did. You couldn't be just saying that I am looking for PowerShell events. It's partially structured, right, and partially unstructured. So that is why there was a need of this video to explain the complete structured hunting approach. So what we'll do is we'll try to understand that the structured hunting can also be at multiple levels. One is at tactic and technique level. Another is at, I'm just tactically trying to break it down. These are not official classifications, so these are just for explaining you how this actually works. You could be hunting for softwares, binaries, scripts, right? Because you know what you're looking for, it's still a structured hunt, right? You know what you're looking for here as well. So if I had to just classify this, I think this, if I had to just classify this, it is behaviors, and those behaviors could be quantified in terms of tactic and technique. Then you have attacker profiles, right? For example, you are hunting for APT1. Now again, the quantification of how the profile or the attacker motive agenda is quantified in terms of TDPs or motivation, infrastructure, target, modus operandi. Now what does it actually remind you of? A TTP falls back to MITRE, right, framework. This falls back to Diamond model. So if you have done a thorough research of your attacker profile, you would possibly either use a MITRE framework or a Diamond model to identify behaviors or motivation, infrastructure, target, modus operandi, whatever it is. And or sometimes both, right? You'll do both of them to have a complete picture and use that in your hunting strategies so that you know what you're hunting against. So it basically starts from profiling your environment, then identification of business, and then it moves to popular attackers in your segment, right? You would also feed in contextual intelligence such as competitor breaches, previous breaches, right? Attacks, geographical location, geopolitics, right? All of this factors in, and then you have a complete attacker profile. Just move this. Okay. So when you're going for a structured hunt, just do not search for, say, a query shouldn't look like this: process name PowerShell.exe. This is exactly that we did last time, but I will enhance this video, right? I'm reiterating again. There's a need for you to understand this is not a structured hunt. Let's go back into understanding what is structured hunt from an example. So I'll just quickly draw my browser and try to go back to MITRE ATT&CK. Let's take execution command and scripting interpreter PowerShell. Awesome. Okay, so we have PowerShell here. We'll scroll down. The n number of procedures defined. We'll scroll down. We'll keep scrolling. Okay. It gives you a detection table, and this is a really good example to pick from. So what you have in detection table is basically command execution. PowerShell can be used over WinRM to remotely run commands on a host. When a remote PowerShell session starts, svc host.exe executes wsm host.exe. This is a very detailed information and really important information, right? If proper execution policy is set, adversaries will likely be able to define their own execution policy if they obtain administrator or system access. Now, this analytic looks for an unusual PowerShell execution. If you see, it says source is Windows event log, Microsoft Windows PowerShell operational, which is basically PowerShell logs from Windows. Searching for event code is equal to 4101. Now what we can possibly do is just take this event code, Windows event ID, right? PowerShell script block logging. That means it is logging the complete script that was executed. It's a very powerful feature, right? If you're logging complete scripts, you have complete scripts to analyze, detonate, fix, decompose, debug, right? Whatever it is, reverse engineer. So you have 4101. If it is enabled, awesome. Eval suspicious commands is a variable that is defined. So eval is a operator that is defining a suspicious commands variable. If there's a message that contains encoded command keyword, say for example, if PowerShell is executed with and the script has keyword encoded command, or script has invoke expression, or the script has IEX, or the script has download file, or then what it will do is it will return yes, otherwise it will return no, right? So you're building a table kind of a thing where you have suspicious commands, yes or no, right? Where and then you're piping all that data where suspicious command equal to yes. So you are filtering out all the no ones. That means you're getting a list of all the suspicious commands, and suspicious commands is just judged on the basis of the fact that it has these keywords. Right now, this is a classic semi-structured hunting, because you don't know what you're actually hunting. There are n number of checks that you are doing, but they are all disparate and disconnected. We just know there's something bad happening in the PowerShell level, so we are running this hunt. There might be hits, there might not be hits. Suspicious commands is yes, so there could be n thousand numbers of findings. We don't know. Like, this is an unstructured hunting, and this is a really good Splunk query that you can possibly go back and run. Now we'll move on to understand another query. Analytic 1, processes loading PowerShell assemblies. Now this is a proper structured hunting. You know what you're looking for. We are looking for a technique, or a technique where processes loading PowerShell assemblies are loading PowerShell assemblies. Monitor for loading and or execution of artifacts associated with PowerShell specific assemblies. And there's an exact file name that is mentioned, right? Now, any unusual process loading this DLL is suspicious and should be investigated. And we have a clear-cut hypothesis. We have a clear-cut analytic in place. Source type is equal to event log Microsoft Windows sysmon. Now this time it's sysmon, so we don't have, right, as you can imagine, we don't have event code 4101. We only have event code 7, which is, now let's go back to understand what is event code 7 again. Image loaded, right? We are actually looking for processes loading this, so image load actually makes sense. So we have event code 7, image loaded in. Now image loaded is the field name, and in is used to pass multiple parameters. Image loaded is either system management automation.dll or PowerShell itself. Any process that is loading PowerShell or loading system management automation.dll to get PowerShell kind of abilities, because PowerShell assemblies are stored in this DL dynamically linked libraries. So if a process loads any of these, bingo, you have a hit, and those should be investigated. Now this is where your structured hunting comes into picture. You have a very clear-cut query, you have a very clear-cut definition. If there's no hit, your hypothesis fails, and that is good, or in the fashion that you were able to conclude a hunt, right? Otherwise most of the hunts goes inconclusive. So it's amazing that you have a conclusive hunt and you were able to say, no, we have no binaries in the environment that we're trying to load PowerShell specific assembly or PowerShell itself as a child process or as spawned binaries. And that is how you conclude it, right? So this is a structured hunt and this is an unstructured hunt. Now this gives you enough clarity of what is structured, what is not structured. I'll not possibly go into practicals for this video, as I just wanted to take some time to explain differences between structured and unstructured via some examples, and they give you a complete picture of what is structured hunting, right? Another angle from which you can look structured hunting is basically threat actor profiling, right? As we mentioned, if you search threat actor profiling, there's a really good report by a guide by, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it should be Tidal Security. That cyber threat profiling resources. They have got a really good report or a guide to how to do a cyber threat profiling. Use this to profile what threats you are concerned about, all of that, and possibly start hunting from there. So multiple different levels of structured hunting and how you can do it. There are clear-cut examples. I would ask you to go back and read the document and read this entire sheet to understand what all analytics are present and if they're structured or unstructured, and possibly employ them in your environment if you have a Windows-centric environment. And this is how you possibly be a better hunter, by learning the differences in theory. I'll just stop this video here and I hope this video was helpful and gave you some clarity around structured and unstructured hunting. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned. Thank you so much. And do subscribe, right? Thank you. Bye bye.